Welcome to Treehouse. I'm Ryan, and I'm glad you're here. No matter where you're beginning, learning new things takes time. But if you keep at it, you can make amazing things. Treehouse is designed to be the best way to learn how to code and make apps. Whether you're learning at home or on the go, Treehouse is available anywhere you are. Let's take a moment and explain how Treehouse works. Treehouse is made up of courses. We have hundreds of courses on a wide variety of topics. Each course is broken into stages. Stages focus on specific subjects within that course and have quizzes and code challenges to assess your knowledge and help you retain what you just learned. You can start with whatever course you're interested in taking, or if you don't know where to start, Treehouse has tracks, which are like playlists that help you learn the right things in the right order. When you have questions along the way and when you get stuck, you're not alone. There are thousands of students in the Treehouse community who want to help you succeed. Thanks for joining Treehouse. Let's get started.
Absolutely anyone can be a developer. You don't need to fit a certain stereotype to build amazing things. You also don't need a computer science degree. It's time to tear down assumptions, bust glass ceilings, and broaden minds. Breaking the mold for the typical developer is an understatement. The need for those who can code is unprecedented, and the pace at which technology evolves is relentless. You need tools to forge your own path to success. That's why we put our heart and soul into creating the best developer training. But let's be real. You can't expect an extraordinary career to be handed to you, tied up with a perfect bow. It's not that simple. It's not going to be a breeze. Rewarding? Challenging? Frustrating? Worthwhile? Yes. Easy? No. So dig deep. Break things. Solve problems. Master new skills. Your future is in your hands. Treehouse. Exceed expectations.
Hey, I'm Ryan, one of the co-founders at Treehouse, and if you've ever considered building an app or making a website, you are probably wondering, how does this whole world fit together? What do I need to learn? What tools do I need to use? How does it all fit together? So the basic premise is you have mobile apps, you have websites, and you have web apps. And depending on what you want to build, you'll learn different things. So let's say that you're interested in building mobile apps. Those are things like Snapchat or Instagram or games. If you want to build a mobile app, then you decide which type of phone or mobile device do you want to use. So do you want to have it available on an iPhone and an iPad or on an Android phone or Android tablet? Once you decide, yep, I want to build an iPhone app, for instance, then you would learn something called iOS. You need a Mac to do that, and then you use a tool that's free, and it's called Xcode. And you make apps using a language called Objective-C. The way you sell those apps is in the App Store. So you upload it to the App Store, and then Apple okays it or doesn't. Hopefully they okay it. And then it goes in the store, and then you can charge real money for that and launch your app that way. The next thing is if you decide, well, I'd rather make an Android app, for a Nexus phone or a Nexus tablet, then you are building for Android. And Android is the operating system of those devices. And the tool that you use is usually something like Eclipse or something new that's going to be launched soon called Android Studio. The actual language that you use to build those apps is called Java. So that is the basic idea of mobile apps. You code in these specific languages, in these specific tools, and then people download your apps in the App Store and they pay for them that way. Now, say instead you would rather build a website. So you want to build a website for your restaurant or for your dad's business or for your school. The tools that you use to build websites are basically a text editor, and then you save your files and then you upload them to the internet. The languages you need to learn are called HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. Those are some of the easiest things to learn initially. You don't have to do a lot of programming or a lot of technical things. They're fairly straightforward. So that's how to build a website. Now, say that you want to build a website, but you want people to interact with it. You want them to log in, or you want them to, friend people or like things or create accounts. All those things really turn that website into a web application. Something that you interact with And examples of that are, things like Facebook. Google Maps is a good example. It's something that's very interactive. So if you want to build something like that, first of all, you pick a language to build it in. And at Treehouse, we guide you down that path, which language you should pick. But your choices are things like Ruby, PHP, Python. There's more, but those are some of the most common ones. And then once you pick a language, then you would also pick a database. And a database is basically a thing that holds all the information in the site. So when you create an account and a password, that is stored in the database. The tools that you use to make web apps are also text-based. So you have a text editor, and then you save your files, and then you upload them to the internet. It's similar to making a website, but you use more powerful languages to make things happen. So we've covered so far mobile apps, websites, and web apps. Now let's talk a little bit more about the types of jobs that you might get in those fields. So all three of those things require three types of people. The first is a designer. The second is a front-end developer, and the third is a developer. I'll briefly talk about what each of those people do. So a designer thinks about the way things look and how they work. And they use tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, various tools like that, and they design it and they make it look great. And then they hand it over to the next person, which is a front-end developer. And a front-end developer is someone who takes that design and then they chop it up and they translate it into code. And they use tools like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, what's happening more and more, though, is designers and front-end developers are becoming the same person. So at Treehouse, we only hire designers that are also front-end developers. So eventually, it really pays off to know both those skills. And then you have back-end developers. So a front-end developer will chop up the design and make it ready, but it won't actually work. You can look at it, but you can't actually log in, or you can't actually create an account, that type of thing. So the backend developer takes that and then they wire it up, quote unquote. They connect it to the database. They write code to make the app actually work and function. They are using tools like Ruby, Python, PHP, Java, things like that. So that is the basic overview of how all this fits together. It can be confusing at first, but once you understand that there's these basic buckets, okay, I want to make a mobile app, or I want to make a website, or I want to make a web app. Once you decide which of those three things you want to do, then you can go down a track and learn it. And that's why at Treehouse, we make it very simple to go down a track, and we tell you exactly what you need to know and in what order you need to learn it. So thanks for watching. Hope that clarifies this kind of confusing and overwhelming world of technology into something that is actually pretty straightforward. And we hope that you come and learn with us. Thanks.
I feel that iPhone is a great tool for the kids to play games and to learn at the same time. And they shouldn't feel like they're learning. They should just learn while having fun and while playing. That was my main inspiration to go into iOS app development. I've been out of the workforce for 12 years and I had no idea how apps were even developed. Then I took this course from Treehouse, and within 4 months, I had my first app in the App Store. It was really nice to see that, to see kids enjoy playing with the apps and to want to do more. I personally love programming. I feel I'm able to make a tangible product that people can benefit from. You don't have to be straight out of college. You can be from any profession. You just need to have the right attitude and want to do it, but anybody can code. I am no different than you. It's never too late to try something new. I was a single mom, out of work for 12 years. I one day decided to let go of all my fears, and I tried Treehouse. And it was an amazing experience. I was just able to pick it up and develop something. So I would tell people, just let go and let your ambitions, your creativity, your imagination guide you. My name is Kavita Prakash, and I'm an iOS app developer.
America's where entrepreneurs come to start the greatest startups, where the most cutting-edge ideas are born and are launched. Right now, America has more job openings than at any point since 2001. Over 500,000 of those jobs are technology jobs. So today, I want to focus on something very specific, and that is how can we work together to build a pipeline of tech workers for this new economy. The truth is, 2/3 of these jobs are in non-high-tech industries like healthcare or manufacturing or banking, which means they're in every corner of the country. See, there's no industry that hasn't been touched by this technology revolution. And what's more, a lot of these jobs don't require a 4-year degree in computer science. Folks can get the skills they need for these jobs in newer, streamlined, faster training programs. And Americans don't believe in equality of outcomes. We understand that you got to work hard in this country. You don't just sit around waiting for something to happen. You got to go get it. But we do believe in equal opportunity. We do believe in expanding opportunity to everybody who's willing to work hard. We do believe that in this country, no matter what you look like or where you come from, how you started out, if you're willing to put in some blood and sweat and tears, you should be able to make it and get a decent job and get a decent wage to build an economy where everybody shares in America's prosperity and everybody's contributing to America's prosperity. Thank you very much, everybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Haley Ward. I am a front-end developer and student success coordinator. I will be taking you through a day in the life of what I do at Treehouse. So Treehouse is actually remote. They have 2 offices. They have one in Oregon and one in Florida. But since I live in Dallas, I can work from home. But I choose to do a shared location where it's a bunch of people that also work for other companies. My husband is also a front-end developer and he works right down the road. We are on our way. You guys haven't met Amir. She actually works at Treehouse too. She's a junior developer? Web developer, yes. We started on the same day and we had an HR meeting and found out that we live in the same area. So she actually sits right next to me. I started learning from Treehouse in September of 2017. And then I did the tech degree and finished it January 2018. And soon after, I was actually contacted by Treehouse and was offered the job for the student success coordinator for the front-end tech degree. A big part of what I do is I have to review projects for the student developers. For the good part of the morning, that is what I usually do. We have a rubric that we go by, just make sure that they hit all those points and then either pass them or give them a needs work grade so they can continue to work on that project. So that's what I'm gonna do for this morning. Something I'm doing right now is I'm meeting with Gil and we are going over some of the course content. That one was the hardest for me. And not just because, it was just because you're putting everything together. Do you think that this will be easier for students if we just did the grid system?
It's kind of tricky. It's kind of like they'd have to figure that part out, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, I appreciate you spending some time.
No problem.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, talk later.
All right, bye. This morning has been crazy and it's actually lunchtime now. And then I have to come back because I have to proctor a final exam. We're gonna go here really fast, grab some food and then come back. So the exams take 2 hours to complete and we have to proctor those. So usually what I'll do is I'll keep one screen open and watch the student developer doing their exam, and then I'll have another screen open that I'll just be working or answering any questions that other student developers have in Slack. It is 3:30. It's finally starting to calm down. What I have left for today is just to go through the Slack channels, make sure none of the student developers have any questions that have been missed or have any projects that haven't been reviewed, and then answer any emails that I haven't got to and stuff like that. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick walk. So it is now 5 o'clock and we are on our way home. This was a day in the life of what I do. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them next time. I look forward to speaking with you guys and talking to you shortly.
One of the hardest questions you'll ask when you start tackling programming is, what language should I learn first? Let's talk through some of the concerns that you might have. It feels final. It feels like if you choose a language that you're making a final decision about what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. That's normal. While some people have successful careers with one programming language, most developers know several different languages, and many change their focus until they find the right one for them. Whatever language you start with, it does not have to be the only language you ever learn. Expect to learn many different programming languages. Programming languages seem very different from each other. While syntax, or rules, can vary between programming languages, each language was developed to solve unique problems. All of them share some common concepts, like learning one language will make it easier to learn the next programming language. And as you pick up your next programming language, you'll learn more about that first programming language that you probably missed the first time through. What if I picked the wrong language? Now, some languages are harder to learn than others, especially if it's your first. However, every language has been someone's first, and they've been through the same issues that you're experiencing. If you feel like you've picked the wrong language, you may have picked one with syntax that is too verbose. But you may also be experiencing a challenge. When you start learning a new language, you're going to learn a lot. And if you're following a good tutorial, it should even be fun. But after you learn the basic concepts of something, you may find that the next concepts are more challenging. While you may want to give up, that's when you'll want to work even harder. Push through your confusion, take good notes, and learn as much as you can. By pushing yourself, you'll find that you can learn anything. We see this all the time. You'll find that the what programming language should I learn first question is incredibly popular, and after a few months, you'll find yourself offering your own advice to others just getting started. Here are the main modern programming languages that you'll likely be considering. People often begin by learning HTML and CSS. Why? Well, these two languages are essential for creating static or unchanging web pages. Everything on the web uses HTML and CSS to some degree, from simple websites to huge and complex applications. HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, structures all the text, links, and other content like images and videos on a website. CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, is the language that makes the web page look the way that it does, the color, the layout, and other visuals that we call style. Now, if you're interested in making websites, you'll definitely want to start with HTML and CSS. JavaScript is the first programming language for many people. It's the next logical step after learning HTML and CSS. JavaScript started out as a simple web programming language, intended to add a few interactive features to websites. However, it's grown into a powerful programming language used on nearly every website in the world. You can use JavaScript to add interesting effects like a light box or a cool scrolling effect. It's even used in projects outside of web browsers like hardware or desktop applications. Learning JavaScript will put you in a good place as it's a general-purpose language. PHP is one of the most popular web languages. It's also one of the first accessible programming languages designed for manipulating information on websites. PHP started out in 1994 as Personal Homepage. Its tools were built by Rasmus Lerdorf to add basic interactivity to his personal website. Then, in 1995, PHP tools was released to the world, and other developers learned about it and started using it. Two programmers really liked PHP and collaborated with Rasmus to develop a new independent programming language called PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. But we all call it PHP. Now, if you've used Wikipedia or Facebook, you've used a site powered by PHP. Almost 27% of the web is built with PHP. People love PHP because it allows you to add dynamic information to websites very easily, and it's great at manipulating databases so that you can access and store information about your users. Python is a general-purpose language that is used for everything from server automation to data science. Now, you might think that Python is named after the snake, but it's actually named after the British comedy group Monty Python. Now, thanks to this, Python has a long history of not taking itself too seriously. Python is a great language for beginners because it's easy to read and understand. Anything you want to do, you can do it with Python. So it's a language that you can stick with for quite a while before needing something else. It employs a batteries included approach, and there are many great solutions available for you to follow. Instagram, for example, was created with Python. The US government uses Python to do statistical analysis and visualizations. Disney, Pixar, and Lucasfilm use Python to add more realistic effects in their movies. And big websites like YouTube, Instagram, and Reddit use Python. Ruby is often associated with the Rails framework that helped popularize it. It was created in the mid-90s by Yukihiro Matsumoto. Used widely among web startups, Ruby on Rails makes it easy to transform an idea into a prototype and later into a working application. Now, as a result, many tech startups and programmers use Ruby to build the early versions of their applications. Sites like Hulu, Basecamp, and Airbnb use Ruby on Rails. Objective-C and Swift are two languages that are used for the same purpose, making apps for Apple devices, like the iPhone or the iPad. Objective-C can be a bit verbose and challenging to learn, but it is very rewarding because you'll be able to make apps for any Apple device. Swift is the most recent app creating language that is recommended for newer Apple developers, since it is intentionally easier to read and get you up and running. First released in the year 2000, C# was created by Microsoft. However, just because it was created by Microsoft, it doesn't mean that the C# language can only be used for Windows applications. C# is a general-purpose programming language that is used for video games with the Unity game engine, writing web servers and mobile applications, and ASP.NET. One of the goals the designers of C# had was to create a programming language that was less prone to errors. That means it's harder to write software that will crash when it runs. This helps you to avoid all sorts of headaches and makes coding a lot more fun. Now, despite its name, Java is not related to JavaScript. Java was created in 1995 by Sun Microsystems to embed in physical devices like televisions. Today, Java is used to power web applications like Amazon and Gmail, and in mission-critical enterprise applications like banks and hospitals. It also powers Android apps, so it's a good choice for those inclined to mobile development. Kotlin is an easier to read and more code-efficient version of Java that was created by JetBrains in 2011. But you'll want to learn Java first before you can truly understand and take advantage of the coding simplicity that Kotlin offers. Which do I choose? Well, plenty of people will gladly tell you exactly what language to learn. Here are a few considerations. What do you want to do? If you're interested in working for a specific company, you'll want to take a look at their job boards. They'll list specific requirements. Now, don't worry if you don't meet any of them now. You will, but this will give you an idea of the direction that you're heading. What do you want to build? This is one of the most challenging questions to answer. What do you want to build? If you have an idea for a project, you might already be creating it. Knowing what you want to make solves the "what programming language should I learn first" question quickly, because the language is just a tool to get you where you want to go. If you don't know what you want to make, check out this site. It has a list of projects that can be completed in any language. Treat them like puzzles and start with the easiest ones. Once you select a language, you'll discover that there are tons of resources for learning it. There's podcasts, video tutorials, books, apps, conferences, meetups, just tons of things. And while it's challenging to filter out what's most valuable, as most of these resources are going to be talking about things that you won't understand yet, you want to immerse yourself in the language and take it all in. But the most important thing is that you've decided to learn to code. Congratulations, that's a huge step. And if you've made it this far, I can tell you something. You're going to love it. Remember, coding is fun, and therefore, learning to code should be fun too. So don't let these early decisions stress you out. You got this. Stick with it.
Trends in front-end development are always changing. What worked yesterday may not work today. This can make being a front-end developer pretty challenging. But what's most challenging about being a front-end developer is also what's most exciting. You're always learning new technologies. So, if you're an aspiring front-end developer or you're learning front-end technology, here's what you need to know to be a front-end developer in 2018. First up, what is a front-end developer? There are generally two parts to any web application. The front end, or client side of the web app, is everything you see and interact with in the browser as a user of the application. Then there's the back end, or server side of the web application, where the application's data is saved, updated, manipulated, and sent back to the client side. Think of your favorite video site. When you click on that video of water skiing puppies, the video is retrieved from a database and served you by a server. That's the back end. The front end displays it for you in the browser, allows you to interact with the video by providing buttons to blow up the video to full screen, pause, rewind, or share with your grandma. As a web developer, you'll likely need to have some knowledge of how the front and back ends of an application interact with each other. However, many companies split these roles into two careers: a front-end developer and a back-end developer. Back-end developers use languages like Java, Python, Ruby, and PHP to build the behind-the-scenes functionality of a website, such as storing and retrieving user data or securely accepting and storing credit card numbers. A front-end developer is a generic term for someone who builds the user-facing parts of websites and applications using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Nearly every business uses a website or application to communicate to its customers. The world needs the skills of a front-end developer. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what you need to know to be a more general but still awesome front-end developer. To be a front-end developer, you'll need to learn many different technologies, but the main technologies are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, is the foundation of every web page. Without it, everything on the internet would be a shapeless wall of text. With HTML, you provide the web browser with information about how your content is structured by defining its different parts. For example, you surround the content of your web pages within different HTML tags to tell the browser which parts are headings, sidebars, a footer, or main area of the site. One of the goals of HTML is to provide good semantic markup. That is, provide information about what kind of content the HTML tag contains. You use HTML to define which elements are links, list items, buttons, paragraphs, checkboxes, radio boxes, and so on. This not only helps you style a page with CSS, but search engines use this information to understand your pages, and semantic markup helps accessibility tools like screen readers make more sense of your content. CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, is a design language with a lot of power. CSS helps us describe the presentation of web pages. We use CSS to define how HTML should look and be laid out. For example, we can use CSS to tell the browser that we want our web page to display in a certain number of rows or columns, or how much space should be between each element. We'd also use CSS to change the color or font size of a button, make it wider or taller, bigger or smaller, place it on the left, right, or middle of the web page, and so on. Part of writing good CSS means making sure designs are consistent across different devices. We use CSS to make web pages responsive. That means that they look good and function well on any screen size or device. CSS seems deceptively easy at first, but it can quickly become challenging. The nuances of formatting and styling are tough, and you've got thousands of options at your disposal. You may need to consult a ton of different references and resources to get things right. It requires a lot of practice. JavaScript is the first programming language that you're likely to learn as a front-end developer. It's a continuously evolving language that's used nearly everywhere these days, on the front end, back end, on mobile, and even desktop devices. Like everything else, it can be challenging but fun to learn. Generally, front-end developers write JavaScript for the browser using the DOM, or Document Object Model. The Document Object Model is like a representation of your web page or application that allows JavaScript and the browser to communicate. Each HTML element on your web page is represented by the DOM, and you can use JavaScript to manipulate those DOM elements. For example, say you have some text on your web page that reads, "Click me." You'd use HTML tags to define that text as a button. With CSS, you'd control what that button looks like. Finally, with JavaScript, you'd write code that triggers the page or application to do something every time the button is clicked, like play a video or submit a comment to a social media post. If you're serious about being a front-end developer, JavaScript is a language you'll want to master. These are some of the main tools and technologies that you'll use on a daily basis as a front-end developer. The text editor is where you'll spend most of your time. It's where you write the code for a given site or app. Microsoft's Visual Studio Code, Atom, or Sublime Text are popular choices in 2018. Don't worry too much about which one you should use. You can try them all and figure out which one you like best. Developer tools for Google Chrome and Firefox let you look at any website and see how it's structured. DevTools help you evaluate and debug your applications, step through JavaScript code, and manipulate and experiment with your application's CSS. Git is a popular version control system. Version control systems help you to track and save changes to your project so that you can easily manage different versions and features. You can also revert to previous versions of your projects or work on a single code base as part of a team. GitHub is a specific service that allows you to share your code online, as well as fork or make copies of other existing code bases so you can work on them yourself or see how they're made. Let's talk about a few more technologies that are common for front-end developers to learn. Once you have a good understanding of CSS, you'll be ready to learn Sass. Sass is what's known as a CSS preprocessor. Basically, it adds useful features to CSS that make writing, organizing, and maintaining the CSS easier, a lot easier. Let's talk about JavaScript libraries and frameworks. jQuery has been around since 2006 and is still widely used on a lot of websites. It's not the newest library, but still worth knowing as a front-end developer, as it lets you quickly and easily add complex JavaScript interactions to your web pages. Newer JavaScript libraries and frameworks include React, Angular, and Vue.js. These are all designed to make it easier to create and maintain complex web applications, typically those that display large amounts of data or complex data, have complex user interfaces, or are made up of many different UI elements and components. Twitter Bootstrap is a design framework that provides a variety of design templates for common website and web application components, like typography, forms, buttons, and navigation menus. By adding pre-styled Bootstrap CSS classes to your HTML, you can quickly lay out and style your web pages. Bootstrap makes it easy to drop in and set up common user interface components, like photo carousels and modal windows. Learning how to use the terminal or the command line will give you greater control over the functionality of your computer. It'll help you install different software packages and libraries, as well as use version control systems like Git more quickly and efficiently than using a graphical user interface. No matter what kind of development you do, front-end or back-end, knowledge of the terminal will help you succeed. As your projects grow larger and more complex, you'll find that they're made up of many different parts: frameworks, modules, libraries, and tooling. Bundling tools like Webpack and Browserify with Gulp help you minify and bundle your code so it can be loaded quickly and efficiently into the browser, helping your applications load faster. 25% of the web is WordPress. WordPress is a content management system that is free and open source. WordPress is extremely versatile, and while it has a reputation as a blogging platform, you can extend the functionality of any WordPress site by using any of the thousands of free and open source plugins. Photoshop is the behemoth when it comes to editing images for the web, but Sketch is a great lightweight tool that is designed for creating vector images. Sketch is a modern tool built for the web. Both are paid tools that require a perpetual license. Wireframes are your plans or sketches for websites before you begin to build them. Both Balsamiq and Figma have cloud-based tools that let you create and share an idea in its early stages before you commit the time to creating it in full. As a front-end developer, you'll likely build web pages and applications based on a design or wireframe provided by a web designer, rather than designing directly with these tools yourself. There can be some overlap, however, so it's helpful for a front-end developer to know the basics of using these technologies. This was a long list, and you may be asking yourself, how will I ever learn all this stuff? It can feel daunting, especially when the tools and technologies of 2018 are likely to change in 2019 and beyond. Just know that it's normal to feel this way. Take things one step at a time. Create a learning strategy and commit to learning and practicing as much as you can. The concepts, principles, and tools that you learn from one programming language or framework will make it much, much easier to learn similar concepts, principles, and tools for another language or framework. So don't feel like you need to learn everything all at once. There are tons of resources for learning how to be a front-end developer. Podcasts, video tutorials, books, apps, conferences, meetups, just tons of things. And while it's a challenge to filter out what's most valuable, as most of these resources are going to be talking about things you won't understand just yet, immerse yourself in the language and take it all in. Concentrate at first on getting comfortable with the basics, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the rest will come in time. Learning new technology is hard, and one of the hardest things about approaching a career like front-end development is figuring out what you need to know when you don't know what you need to know. I'm a teacher at Treehouse, an online school where you learn at your own pace. At $25 a month, you get access to the front-end web development track, which has on-demand content that includes videos, quizzes, and code challenges that will teach you HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and more. Everything you need to know to start out as a front-end web developer. Click the link at the top of the description of this video to start your 7-day free trial at Treehouse and get started on the front-end web development track. And I'll see you there. I teach the first course.
Hey everybody, Ben here with Pure Presence Creative, and today I actually wanted to do a review of what I feel like is one of the top educational platforms out there when it comes to learning code, development, and even design, and that is Team Treehouse. So the reason this has actually come up has been a lot of questions. I've actually been getting a lot of questions through comments, through emails, through messages via YouTube that I've just been asking about what language do I need to learn to build a widget, what languages do I need to learn to build my own website, and just basically what do I know, what languages do I know that allows me to build what I do. And first off, rather than answering with what languages I've chose to learn, I decided to create this review because this is actually where I've learned everything that I know today in terms of development and code. So Team Treehouse is still my go-to. I am still an active subscriber, and I wouldn't be doing this review if I didn't genuinely believe in what they do. So I will actually show you my profile here in the next couple of minutes and actually show you what it looks like. I won't show you their actual courses or anything like that, but I'm going to show you an overview of what the profile looks like and what content they actually have for you guys. And then we'll actually talk about how it did help me up my game from just knowing Adobe Muse. And while I love Adobe Muse, for my personal career path, I ended up needing to know more, which is why Team Treehouse came into play. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the screen real quick. And I want to show you what they actually have to offer first, and then tell you my experience with this actual platform. So let's go ahead and jump on over. So with Team Treehouse, you have 3 plans. You have a basic plan, a pro plan, and then they actually introduced a new one called a tech degree, which is basically, let me explain the biggest differences. The basic plan, you gain access to all of their video courses, their interactive tools, and on-demand learning. And you gain access to what I feel like is extremely valuable, which is a forum that is only used for Team Treehouse students. And actually, I've got to say, I have had so much fun answering questions because it helps solidify my knowledge for actual code. So, and I do know that their forum is one of the best, aside from Stack Overflow, if you're looking for an answer for any of your coding needs. And this is if you're an absolute beginner and know absolutely nothing. This forum is incredible. They help you. They are just super descriptive with their answers. And they're overall just really kind. It's a huge, kind community. So you have access to all of their videos. The pro plan, essentially you gain access to a few additional features, such as conferences and live coverage events, or live coverage of these conferences. And like you see, you get to watch talks from industry leaders. And then you can also download the videos for offline learning. Now, I just want to start this off and say I have the basic plan, and I have yet to feel I do not feel lacking in any way. All of the content they provide with just a basic plan is incredible. But I will say, I've had sneak previews of the pro plan here and there and seen some of the talks that they've done, and they are phenomenal. So if you can afford the pro plan, I would definitely do that. But these 2 are their main plans that they have to offer. And then they introduced the tech degree. Now, I've got to be honest, I was a little bummed when they introduced this, simply because I would have loved to have had this when I first started learning code. And what's really cool is they offer 6 tech degree programs. They have front-end web development. They have a full stack JavaScript, which is actually what I do. They have Java web development, Python, iOS, and Android. So as you can see, that is just 6 of the actual curriculum tracks that they have. They have so much more than just these 6. But for the tech degree program, not only do you gain access to all of these courses, you gain access to an additional forum that now actually has industry professionals in on it and will help answer your questions as well. But you also get to speak one-on-one with an industry professional, which was really cool. And had they had this when I actually started learning, this would have been my go-to choice. It is pricey, but I can't imagine what they actually do to help you learn. And they even give you real-world applications that you can add to your portfolio. So it's huge. But those are the plans that you actually have. But like I said, I wanted to show you what you gain access to and how cool and how big this platform really is. So I'm going to go to my portfolio that I have with Team Treehouse, and as you can see, that's me up in the top right. So I'm not just saying this, this isn't paid or anything like that, although I am an affiliate. I do use Team Treehouse. I am actively engaged with the community they have, and I just love learning here. It helps me keep on top of pretty much all of the languages that I personally love. So with that said, this is my personal profile. So I wanted to show you guys the tracks that they have available. And this is really cool. Now, when I first started Team Treehouse, I want to remind you guys, I knew absolutely nothing about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or any of that. So I came into Team Treehouse not knowing pretty much jack. So it was such a relief when I came in to see that they actually have what are known as tracks. And tracks take you from pretty much knowing absolutely nothing about a particular topic to becoming, I would almost say, pretty much professional towards the end. And when I first came to Treehouse, the first track I took was web design, because I saw it offered HTML, CSS, and then it also offered web design principles along with basics to Illustrator, Photoshop, all of those tools as well, which I have experience with, or I had experience with when starting, but it was a nice refresher course. So if you're interested in web design, you do the web design track, but then you have front-end development, and that is where my rabbit hole really took off, and I just went further and further and further and ended up learning, I don't know how many languages I've started learning now. As you can see, I've done a lot of these courses here and just had a lot of fun doing so. But these are all courses that will start you from the very beginning and then take you to where you're creating actual applications towards the end. As you can see, there's game development as well. It's really, really cool. So next you have the actual library, and this is basically all of the videos divided up. And this is all of the topics you have access to if you subscribe. And again, I have the basic plan, so I can't imagine what you'd have access to with the pro plan or the actual tech degree. So that is pretty much Treehouse. And like I said, I wanted to show you the profile. I wanted to show you everything you have access to. For instance, you could go to JavaScript, and you'll see you have all of these courses available to you that are just dedicated to JavaScript. It's ridiculous, and they're updating it every single week, if not day. So that is Treehouse. And now I actually wanted to get back to my personal experience with Team Treehouse. And as you've probably heard by now, it's been nothing but great. Like I said, the community is solid. Their information they have to offer is absolutely incredible. And I have to credit these guys, because I would not be where I am today without them, because they did such a wonderful job at teaching. They're quite funky, some of the teachers, I'm not gonna lie. They talk to you like in a childlike manner, but at the same time, it makes it fun, it makes it non-boring, and they really get you set up to create real-world applications. So if you are following what path I took, and where Adobe Muse is wonderful, but it doesn't suit all of your needs or your client's needs, and you need to step your game up to go beyond just front-end design, I would highly, highly recommend Team Treehouse. They seriously did. Within my first month, I was actually coding my own website from scratch, and that's just with a month of like maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. I obsess when I learn, but 2 to 3 hours a day I would just give to Team Treehouse, and not even within a month. That's giving me extra time. It was probably within the first 2 to 3 weeks that I just started coding, and it's been phenomenal. I've had so much fun, and I want to leave you guys with the idea of, if you do decide to tackle coding, I promise it's not as intimidating as you may think it is. It's written by human beings. So obviously, since it's written by human beings, we needed to have a way of understanding it. So where it may look a little intimidating at first, I promise it just gets easier with practice. So if you decide you want to join Team Treehouse, as I mentioned earlier, I am an affiliate, and I will provide a link in the description below. But should you decide to take on the endeavor of learning code and learning it this year, I would be honored if you used our affiliate link, as it does help us over here at Peer Presence Creative, and I promise you will not be disappointed with Team Treehouse. They seriously do a phenomenal job. I've talked to other developers and designers who are using this even as just a reference for just checking if their code is up to date and all of that stuff. And I promise it is an incredible platform. So should you decide to tackle it, please, please, please really consider using our affiliate link. And I promise I wouldn't do this if I didn't believe in them so much. So that is my review of Team Treehouse. Hopefully you saw what they have to offer, and it really fits your needs. But if not, I totally understand and respect that. If you're really interested or really want to stick to just Adobe Muse or stick to whatever design platform you have, that's totally fine. But until next time, you guys, my absolute best wishes to all of you, and thank you for sticking with me again. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, guys.